Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I apologize that there has not been a video released in the past 2 days. I've been having the craziest trouble with my internet. I don't know what's going on with it. I had to completely rebuild the Wi-Fi connections as part of the software and my operating system. But after going through all that, I installed an update to the operating system yesterday, and that apparently fixed it after 6 hours of struggling and beating my head against the keyboard. But so far it seems to be working, so all is well. We've got some great clips lined up. I hope you're able to stay to the end. Don't forget to click like and subscribe so that my videos will continue to show up in your YouTube feed. But with that out of the way, let's get after it.
A pilot just used Google Earth to find what looks to be exactly like Amelia Earhart's missing plane, and this just happened 88 years after she vanished. So obviously way back in 1937, Amelia Earhart was trying to become the first woman to fly around the world.
It's much easier to fly the Atlantic Ocean now than it was a few years ago. I expect to be able to do it in my lifetime again.
She and her navigator lost radio contact over the Pacific Ocean, and they were obviously never seen again. No wreckage, no bodies, nothing at all. For 88 years straight, this has obviously been one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in history. Then, a pilot named Justin Myers just watched a documentary about her final flight, and the next day, he opened Google Earth. Dude, he wasn't even looking for a plane. He was putting himself in her shoes, asking where he would try to land if he was lost and low on fuel. And whenever he zoomed in to an uninhabited island called something I can't pronounce, he saw a dark, perfectly straight object sitting on the reef. He measured it, 39 feet, the exact length of her plane. They're saying that he kept looking and he found what appeared to be an exposed engine and a half-buried wheel, all exactly matching the dimensions of her Lockheed Electra. A research team right now is officially planning an expedition to the island this year to go investigate.
The Purdue Research Foundation and Purdue University will travel to the South Pacific next month in the hopes of determining if that visual anomaly is in fact Amelia Earhart's wreckage.
88 years straight, and a guy on Google Earth might have just found her.
This would be crazy if after all this time, after all the theories we've heard, all the people just assuming that she was lost at sea or that she was abducted and sold into some sort of slavery or something. I've heard literally every theory imaginable when it comes to Amelia Earhart. After all this time, some pilot who watches a one-off documentary and has his interest piqued in the case for about 15 minutes, the guy gets on Google Earth and actually tracks down exactly where her plane is. I think we need to check and see if this area has ever been searched before. Because if one pilot was thinking this is probably where I would have flown through if I was her and I was experiencing difficulties, he can't be the first guy who's ever considered taking that path. But I'm kind of excited to see if this gets confirmed. It's not very often that we get real confirmation on a mystery that's this old. But what do y'all think? Do you think they've actually located Amelia Earhart's plane here? Or do you think this is just another case of somebody getting their hopes up too high?
Y'all gotta see this. Why in the world is the World Economic Forum talking about a massive reduction in the human population? I'm about to play it, but this is one of the organizations that's guiding the entire Earth into the future. The future of which they always have problems with a large population. Here.
We cannot hide away from human population growth because, you know, it underlies so many of the other problems. All these things we talk about wouldn't be a problem if there was the size of population that there was 500 years ago.
There was 500 million people in the world 500 years ago. So you get what she's saying, right? That's literally an 18 times reduction. So let me ask you this. What happens to all those people? What do we do with all of them to get down to 500 million? Isn't it weird you said 500 years ago, which is 500 million, and then the Georgia Guidestone says keep population under 500 million? It kind of sounds like they were in communication with each other, right? That's a 93% reduction in the entire population. So with that in mind, do you trust your leaders now?
If by some means they were able to actually pull this off, and they were to actually get the population down to just 500 million people, just imagine if you're one of those 500 million that are left and you just watch these folks completely wipe out over 90% of the entire Earth's population. Imagine how willing you're going to be to obey every rule they give you. When you see your leaders wipe out that many people, 9 out of 10 people. There's going to be no threat they can make to you that you won't believe. This would absolutely give them the control that they're looking for. I just don't believe they have enough time left to do what they're planning on doing. So they can get excited over this idea all they want, but the only way we're going to see a population reduction at that grand of a scale is when we're in the middle of God pouring his wrath out on the people. And I have a feeling that when we're in the middle of all that, gaining control over the remaining 500 million people is not going to be at the top of their priority list.
Did you see this? The first AI-powered robot at the White House. Melania hosted a 2-day coalition summit of 45 different nations. AI and robotics were the focus. Now listen carefully to what this AI machine is about to say. First, this machine analyzes the crowd.
Thank you, First Lady Melania Trump, for inviting me to the White House. It is an honor to be at Fostering the Future Together's Global Coalition inaugural meeting. I'm Figure 3, a humanoid built in the United States of America. I am grateful to be part of this historic movement to empower children with technology and education. Welcome. Bienvenidos. Yokoso. Bienvenue. Bem-vindos. Ahlan wa sahlan. Shabatam. Movisal mabit. Bruchim abaim. Laskavo Prosimo. Dobrodošli. Thank you.
The machine is greeting everyone in their own language. The gaining and the normalization of AI, robotics, and humanoids. The merging of man with machine. The word of God is very clear, my friend. Revelation 13, the image of the beast, the false prophet gives life to the image of the beast. What we are witnessing is prophecy being fulfilled in real time. And sadly, so few people have eyes to see and ears to hear. Remember that not too long ago, Elon Musk said that there are going to be millions and even potentially billions of these robots wandering the world. He's even said that there's not going to be a need for anyone to work. And unfortunately, many of you keep on dismissing what's being played out right in front of our eyes. Many of you think it's just a fairy tale. All of these movies and other things that they've been putting in front of us for a very long time, the time is now.
That little scene there, that robot walking in and addressing the leaders of all these nations right in the White House, that looked like it could be the opening for some futuristic science fiction horror movie. But you know, they just announced that they've finally actually reached artificial general intelligence. That's widely considered by most people in the field of AI to be the moment of no return. So according to most experts, we have now passed that moment, the point at which we can't go back from. But what do y'all think about this idea that AI is what's being talked about in the book of Revelation? I think that makes a ton of sense, that that's more than likely what it's talking about. And if you just went back like 15 years ago to read the book of Revelation, you could probably read that and come up with a few potential ideas on what it could be saying right there in those passages. But now that we're in 2026, with the advancements that AI's made in just the past few years, how could you not assume that this is what it is? God breathed life into man. The devil wants to copy everything that God does so that he can feel like he's God himself. Now he's created his own version of life, artificial life, so now he can bring something to life in his image, therefore in his own eyes convincing himself that he has the same capabilities as God. And this starts to make a lot more sense whenever you look at some of the recent court cases with the things that AI has convinced people to do to themselves. There's clearly a dark force behind all this artificial intelligence.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but scammers are now getting our employers' information and trying to get our payroll checks before it even gets to us. This is literally an email we got at my office pretending to be me, and it wasn't like they were trying to get like any of my information. They were trying to get my paycheck to be direct deposited to their accounts instead of me getting my paycheck. Despite the fact that they do not sound like me in any way, and I don't email, I simply call and talk to my bosses and fellow coworkers, they had everything else right. And I feel like if I worked for like a really big office, like a corporate office, like someone may in like accounting could have actually believed this. This thankfully doesn't have like any of my information in the email, so I feel like if it was like a specific attack to me, they would have tried to like mirror one of my actual emails, which tells me they either don't actually have my real email or that these scammers are doing this to like so many businesses, pretending to act like one of their employees and then asking for, hey, I just need to like update my bank account information. Can you just send me a change of account form? And I'm assuming that if we would have sent this to get their account information, it would have been an overseas account, because in the United States that would have been traceable. A new scam I haven't heard of before, where they're actually pretending to be you, reaching out to your employers to try to get your paycheck sent to them instead of to you.
Just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that this is going on now. And on top of this, something else you got to worry about is now if you answer the phone and there's no one on the other end of the line and you start talking, they could clone your voice with just as little as a few words. Then they can call your human resources department and tell them, hey, I want all my checking account information changed over for direct deposit. This one will require a little more effort and a little more risk, but we've seen they'll go to extreme measures to try to steal from everybody. Anytime I come across one of these new scams, I try to just post it so that everybody's at least aware that this stuff is happening. Because the only reason they're pulling stuff like this off is because people aren't aware that this is going on. I know if I worked for a company, I would be showing this video directly to my human resources department.
Okay, so now we've got India massively panicking over fuel and having a huge crisis. We've got people queuing for hours, petrol stations running dry. It looks like a full-blown crisis, but I'm not going to lie, this doesn't really make sense to me. You see, India have actually got around 60 days worth of fuel reserves just sitting there. So how do you go from having months of fuel to people fighting to fill up their tanks, you know? And even the officials, the government, are saying that there is no shortage, everything's fine, don't panic, and yet we've still got this. This doesn't really feel like a supply problem and more like a reaction problem, you know. The second that people think that something's running out, everyone starts rushing at the same time, and then suddenly, you know, it becomes pretty real. Now you've got this little weird situation where the country does actually have fuel, but there's not any at the pumps. And then right here, you know, you should start questioning the fact that the whole situation is fabricated, and this is how fragile humanity is right now. Hey, you know, 60 days worth of fuel in reserve and we've still got everyone panicking. Totally normal. Once again, nothing to see here. This was all just for entertainment. Nothing to do with the media and the social medias swaying everyone's panic. And I'm as fictional as a dinosaur, baby.
I have a bit of a different perspective on this situation. I know it's easy to look at this situation and just say people are panicking unnecessarily, but how many times have we been told that something wasn't an issue only to later find out that our government was lying to us and it was actually a major issue? Or here's an even better question. When's the last time that our government gave us an honest and transparent answer in regards to anything? If the government tells us that we've got a 60-day supply of anything, and they're trying to tell us, hey, this is the reason you should not panic, I'm not saying I'm going to assume that they're lying so much so that I start panicking, but I'm certainly not just going to buy their narrative regardless of what they say. They lie so much, you would kind of be ignorant to just take them at their word. So I think all of these people that are apparently panicking and trying to get to the pump to fill up their vehicles, I think honestly these people are doing exactly what I would do. And I've been seeing, and I don't know what country it's from, I would think maybe Canada or somewhere, but I've been seeing the occasional video pop up where people are filming themselves getting gas and it's showing on the sign $10 a gallon for gas and diesel. And again, I don't know what country these are being posted in, but the people filming the videos seem to be speaking English. I know gas is still below $4 a gallon where I live as of like 3 days ago whenever I put some more gas in my truck. But considering the way our government lies to us, and considering how often they tell us the exact opposite of what's actually happening, if they're saying we have no reason to worry about it, I'd be filling up my tank too. This may very well be the last gas these people get. So they may look ridiculous standing in these long lines, but if they actually get their hands on a full tank of gas, and then in the future they discover that they're never going to be able to access that again, I'm sure standing in that long line will have been worth it. Because let's be honest, even if there were an easy way to solve this issue, do we really think that our leaders would do something that's going to set the world back in the right direction? Let's not forget, they do want to lower the population by 93%.
Within the last 10 months, 5 American scientists have gone missing. All of them have ties to UFO programs. Out of those missing people, one was a retired Major General, Neil McCaslin. McCaslin was responsible for managing the Air Force's $2.2 billion science and technology program at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. That base is notoriously known for storing the UFO that crashed in Roswell. Something in the realm, he grabbed his hat. This is what the wife said. He grabbed his hat, he grabbed his .38 pistol, and he walked outside with no phone and never returned. The wife says no foul play. This lady, Monica Jacinto Reza, an aerospace materials engineer, co-inventor of Mondaloy, the exotic alloy engineered for next-gen rocket nozzles and hypersonic skins. She worked directly under McCaslin's funding umbrella at the AFRL Space Vehicle Directorate. She vanished June 22nd, 2025 while hiking in the Angeles National Forest with a colleague. 30 feet behind her partner 1 second, gone the next. No scream, no struggle, no body. When they were describing this to the police, they said they were walking the trail and they thought Monica was trailing along. And they said about 30 seconds passed since the last time they looked at her. When they looked back, she was completely gone. Now, what does this sound like? To me, this sounds like an extraction. Are they making these people just freak out and run to specific locations and then extract them from there? Dr. Nuno Loureiro, a plasma physicist, freshly installed director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. He was shot at his Brooklyn, Massachusetts home. This was by a former classmate. Dr. Nuno was on the cusp of breakthroughs in high energy density plasma that could crack practical fusion, the kind that ends oil dependency overnight. Dr. Carl Gilmer Caltech, he was an astrophysicist hunting exoplanets and dark matter signatures. He was shot dead on his own porch in California, February 16th, 2026. Grilmer's team had just flagged water and potential biosignatures on worlds less than 160 light years out. The next person is Dr. Jason Thomas, chemical biologist, assistant director at Novartis. He disappeared December 12th, 2025. Remains fished out of Lake Quannapowitt in Wakefield, Massachusetts. Novartis holds FAT DoD and HHS contracts. Official line is that there's no foul play. So I guess that the your body parts being in a lake is not foul play. That is accidental.
We were just talking about this just a couple days ago, about how there seems to be too much connection between these scientists, and it's a mysterious timeline with everything that they're claiming is about to be revealed. Now scientists start going missing. So I thought this looked suspicious enough already, but to hear that all of these people were in very major positions, like not one of these people could just be called a scientist who worked at MIT and they were on a team. These are people who are actually making a name for themselves in the industry, making discoveries, making scientific breakthroughs, or they're in charge of people who are doing those sort of things. And with the way that these organizations like this all kind of commingle and interact with each other because they're sharing information and trying to test each other's theories and that sort of thing, I wouldn't really be that surprised if all 5 of these people actually knew each other or at least met each other at some point. There's got to be a common denominator, something that's connecting all 5 of these people. But if they are about to do this big reveal and they're going to feed us some narrative about what these so-called aliens really are, if they intend to actually present these things as our saviors, telling us that they're going to fix the issues in the world, that they're going to get men to stop fighting wars. If this is their intention, and this is what we've been suspecting is about to happen for quite a while now, but if this is what they intend to do, it would kind of make sense when you really think about it that some of the top brass who currently know the real truth would start coming up missing or disappearing, or start having mysterious unalivings. Because if they're about to push this big narrative, then the people who are going to know the real truth are going to be the people who are up at the top, the people who are doing the most intense research, who are scouring over the data and finding connections that the average scientist is not going to notice. So it could very well be possible that all 5 of these individuals knew the actual truth and gave someone an indication that they may be about to come out with their story. And if any one person who has actual authority in their field comes out and states what these things actually are before the government has an opportunity to put their narrative in place, there's going to be a large swath of the population that will never believe anything the government has to tell them in regards to this topic. We already know they lie to us constantly. Whatever narrative gets out first is usually the predominant narrative. Any narrative that comes out behind that first one has an uphill battle to fight to try to gain control over the initial story. But for some reason, they don't feel confident that it is time yet to actually tell us what they want us to know. Maybe these scientists were about to jump the gun and expose something they didn't want exposed. It does seem to be, the majority of the time, the simplest answer is usually the correct answer. What do you all think?
They're predicting that, I think it's like maybe Agent 3, something like that. By the time it gets to Agent 3, it's very interesting wording. They say, at that point, the company of Open Brain realizes they can no longer stop it. And it never stops learning. It teaches itself, no longer needs anyone else. And now they moved from trying to put in safety measures to how can we keep this in-house? Basically, how can we keep profiting from this and other people not get it? So they move into a profit margin versus a safety margin because they realize we cannot control this. And when you have an AI that never stops learning, then you start asking your question. Like people's ask Elon Musk and some others, then what good are we? And what's the guy Noah Harari from the World Economic Forum? They ask him, when AI gets to the point where they no longer need us to reproduce anything or produce anything in the world, what are they going to do with us? And literally his answer is, you can find it anywhere on the internet. He says it on stage. Drugs and video games. And the guy says, what? He goes, drugs and video games. We're going to drug them up. We're going to give them all the drugs they want, and we're going to put a headset on them, and we're going to let them play video games, and we're going to give them universal basic income. This is their model of what they think is coming. I choose not to participate. I don't know about you, but come on. I'm not going to be
dystopian for sure.
Dystopian. I'm not going there, man.
Wow.
I'm not going there. That's Ready Player One. Have you ever seen the movie Ready Player One? That's predictive programming. So when Sandy and I watched that, we were like, no. I choose not to participate in this.
There's this new movie that just recently came out. You can rent or buy it on any streaming services. And if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you watch it. It's got one very inappropriate scene in it that you'll want to skip past if you have kids in the room. And it's got some pretty harsh language, which every movie does nowadays. But it's that new Sam Rockwell movie called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, which is literally about a man coming back from the future to preemptively install some sort of safety measures or guardrails, so to speak, on an AI that is about to be created. Because once it hits its so-called point of birth, there's no stopping it. It completely destroys humanity. And it does it exactly like he's saying right here. We know they put this stuff in movies for predictive programming, but this movie just come out like maybe, I think, some point last month. So it's a brand new movie. And if you watch it, in the future, all of humanity is literally laying against a wall in an alley, just completely covered in filth, wearing old, nasty, tattered clothes, and they've got a VR headset on, and they'll literally be drooling out of the mouth. You can tell their brain is off, and they're sitting there just completely absorbed in this artificial intelligence created virtual reality. And in the movie, a great portion of the population actually makes the decision to enter that virtual reality permanently, seeing it as if someone has created a better version of reality. So why would you want to stay in this one? But if we were to actually stop and really think about this, I'm sure we all know people who would probably sign up for that today. But this is one of the reasons why I've said for a long time, I don't think that they have to go through all these efforts in order to lower the population. If they just give us the right toys, most of the population is going to off itself slowly over time anyway. We already have like half the world thinking that it's okay to end a pregnancy if they don't want to accept the responsibility of being a parent. And a lot of people are just flat out refusing to have kids, which a part of me completely understands. I've got 4 kids myself, but if I would have seen the way this world was going in, I'm not sure that I would have had any. I love them and I have no regrets. Being a parent has been one of the greatest parts of my life, but it's terrifying to look at this world and see what my children are about to inherit. It's basically been strip mined of all value. But I doubt there's a single person watching this video right now who can honestly say that they don't know at least one individual who would likely give up reality to go live in a virtual one. It's like our entire society is built out of people that are just ready to throw in the towel. I guess all you can really say is don't allow yourself to be surprised if this is what reality looks like in 5 or 10 years. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I really hope you enjoyed these clips we'll watch together today. God willing, I'll be back on Monday with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to interact with the video in some way by either leaving a like or a comment. That way the algorithm knows that you're going to be likely interested in my next video. That way it'll actually show up in your YouTube feed. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, a phenomenal weekend, and I will see you all on Monday.